Welcome to the Restricted Handling Daily Intel Brief. This is what's been going on in Iran and the Middle East in the past 24 hours. Iran is continuing its strategic grip on the Strait of Hormuz, and while the general pattern we've reported remains, there are some updates worth noting. The IRGC has slightly extended its operational coverage from Jask and Sirik past Keshem and the Greater Tunb Islands. Vessels moving through the strait still need to submit detailed transit information to Iran's Persian Gulf Strait Authority, covering ownership, crew, cargo, and intended routes. A few tankers carrying Iraqi crude and Qatari LNG have continued to pass, sometimes with AIS transponders turned off. This pattern we mentioned yesterday has persisted, quietly shaping Gulf economies and international shipping routes. Economic ripple effects are continuing to unfold. Saudi oil exports are down roughly a third, UAE exports around half, and Bahrain, Qatar, and Kuwait are still moving minimal volumes. Gulf states are improvising. Overland convoys for fertilizer, containers, and essential goods are surging across the Arabian desert, and truck traffic at Khor Fakkan is in the thousands daily. While it's not a full replacement for Hormuz, this improvisation is keeping supply chains functional while the strait remains firmly under Iranian control. Negotiations are still tense, with subtle shifts. Iran continues to press maximum leverage. It wants hostilities ended on all fronts, sanctions lifted, frozen assets returned, and sovereignty over Hormuz acknowledged. A notable update since yesterday is that Iranian parliamentary spokesman Ebrahim Razaei confirmed if Iran is attacked again, it could enrich uranium up to 90% weapons grade. This represents a calibrated escalation in strategic signaling compared to the previous day. Missile and drone capabilities remain a central factor. Iran maintains access to 30 of 33 missile sites along the strait. Underground facilities are roughly 90% accessible, and about 70% of mobile launchers and pre-war stockpiles are functional. While U.S. and Israeli strikes earlier were significant, Iran still has a credible threat to shipping lanes and regional forces. On the U.S. side, ordnance expenditures have been heavy, with Pentagon estimates of the conflict cost approaching $29 billion, not including base repairs. Gulf states continue to act proactively. Kuwait reported an attempted infiltration of Bubiyan Island by 6 IRGC members, with 4 captured and 2 escaping. The UAE has moved from observer to direct engagement, striking Iran's Lavan Island refinery. Israel has reinforced the UAE with Iron Dome batteries and personnel, signaling to Tehran that regional neighbors are prepared to counter threats. Updates on southern Lebanon show Hezbollah's FPV drone campaign remains active. These fiber optic drones, small and low-flying, continue to evade electronic jamming. Since the April 16 ceasefire, more than 45 attacks have occurred, with Israel responding using nets, enhanced rifles, radar upgrades, and testing interception systems. This is a continuation of the pattern we discussed yesterday, but the intensity and innovation on both sides are evolving, keeping Israel's countermeasures on their toes. Internal dynamics in Iran show subtle changes. Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei remains mostly out of public view, recovering from February strikes, while hardliners are watching Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf for signs of flexibility. Another update, Iran executed Ehsan Afrashteh, accused of spying for Israel, reinforcing Tehran's zero-tolerance approach to internal threats. This echoes the same internal security trends we mentioned before, but shows continued enforcement action. Israel's operational reach remains impressive. Reports indicate a clandestine desert outpost in Iraq supporting air campaigns, pilot recovery, and logistics. This continues to demonstrate that Israel's regional influence is a factor Tehran must account for, complementing U.S. capabilities. On the economic front, Brent crude remains above $104, with U.S. gasoline and diesel prices elevated. Asian markets continue to feel supply chain pressure. Japan has coordinated with Iran to transit tankers safely, while other sectors, fertilizer, food, airlines, are under strain. These updates align with the story we covered yesterday, but the effects are becoming slightly more pronounced in regional and Asian markets. Gaza remains tense. Hamas could survive politically if it disarmed and relinquished its military command, but the group has resisted full demilitarization. Israel's operations now control roughly 64% of Gaza. This is consistent with our previous report, but ongoing operations show Israel gradually expanding territorial oversight, further pressuring Hamas politically and militarily. Hezbollah continues to innovate in Lebanon. FPV drones are still causing headaches for Israel, with more than 100 explosive drone attacks since April's ceasefire. Israel has struck over 1,100 Hezbollah targets, now expanding beyond southern Lebanon to disrupt operators and supply chains. Israel is also establishing a domestic suicide drone production line and testing layered countermeasures, including micro-laser missiles, nets, and microwaves. The scale and pace of these developments mark an evolution from what we discussed yesterday, showing persistent adaptation on both sides. Defense industrial updates show regional hardening. Israel signed a $34 million contract with Elbit Systems to extend F-35 range and endurance via external fuel tanks. The UAE's Edge Group is acquiring 80% of Italy's CMD, creating a European propulsion hub for aero engines, military vehicles, and marine systems. This reflects ongoing long-range operational preparation and industrial expansion. A continuation of yesterday's trends, but with additional detail on the industrial acquisitions and partnerships. Thanks for listening. If you notice the name change, this is now the Restricted Handling Daily Intel Brief. Starting Monday, May 18th, long-form interviews and discussions move to the new Restricted Handling podcast channel, available wherever you get your podcasts. The daily briefs will continue right here. We'll see you next time.